We've got 320 hectares here on this property.
Yep.
And we run cattle on it, all 100% beef and one chook. We run about 275 breeding cows here on the property. These bulls, we feed them as well as we can right through the winter. We hope to sell them at the end of November, early December, to the works. So they're about 15 months old. We need to do that because this property can dry out quite rapidly in the summer. So we push the bulls, and also with the heifers we try and do the same, and so that we can get quite a few of them off before the summer as well. Usually in the winter we have approximately around about 30 mobs, 27 to 30 in each mob. So it's quite a lot of shifting and quite a few electric fences we run here. The farm's cut up into small paddocks anyway. Most of the paddocks are between 1.4 and 1.7 hectares. For this season we're producing around about 100 tonne of carcass weight of beef. If we pug the paddocks on this farm, we ruin them for up to 2 years. It's just hopeless. So we're really fussy about pugging. When it's wet, we have all the heavy cattle off the easy country and onto the steeper hills, and we just have the young, lighter animals down on the flats and easy country, and we shift them every day if it's wet, and sometimes if it's really wet we'll even shift them twice a day. Anything we can possibly do to reduce pugging. And obviously we really fly through the feed when we're doing that, but we can catch up when it dries out.
In the last few years we have been fencing off our waterways and our swamplands, and to stop stock getting in there and contaminating the water. And we've also fenced off the native bush and are planting a new area of native bush. When I had my practice in Cooper's Beach, my physio practice in Cooper's Beach, I had a patient there who needed something to do, but he was an absolute expert at growing native trees and knew everything about them. So I gave him some potting mix in some bags and we gathered up some native seeds off our own bush and asked him if he'd like to grow some trees for me. After about 9 months he called me up and said, "Oh, would you like to come and have a look at these trees?" Went up and there were 800 trees, native trees for me to plant.
We've developed quite a good water system. We have a spring which is up on the side of the hill, and we've made a little dam there and we catch the water from that. And it runs for 1 kilometre down to 3 big 25,000 litre tanks. And from those tanks we pump it up to header tanks on the side of the hill, and it reticulates from there around the farm. We've found that since we've had this water system in troughs, the stock health has improved, and it keeps the stock out of the creeks and stopping some of the erosion.
And most of the development of the water supply was done with a spirit level distance marker, wasn't it?
That's why it doesn't work.
It does work really well, actually.
It's got a massive runoff into the ocean. It's a tsunami.
Yeah, we can't get it to run uphill yet. Because we have a real kikuyu grass problem here, we graze the paddocks out really hard with the breeding cows, and then we sow biannual ryegrass seed, and then we mulch straight away. And we've had some really great results out of doing that, and we've actually found that the biannual ryegrass lasts for 6 or 7 years or even longer, and it's quite cheap to get that in, and so we continue doing that in the future. With the fertiliser, we put the fertiliser on ourselves, and we try not to put on too much at once. We spread it out, do 2 dressings a year, a little bit often is what our system is there. And we're trying to keep the use of nitrogen to a real minimum. We're hoping not to use any actually in the future, but last year we did use 2 tonne. We try to keep the pH up high. We like to have it around over 6. With Susan here helping, chasing the cows and our new systems on the cows, it's going to really improve our nitrogen supply. Well, at this stage we've been doing several trials. We haven't really got it perfected, but the idea is to spread out the poo and the urine so that we don't get such a high concentration into a small patch of ground. So that's the idea of it.
We need an even spread, is what we're talking about. Even spread of fertiliser.
with this apparatus of ours on the cows, it's spreading it so that the soil can absorb it all. Yeah.
Sounds great. That's a good idea.
Really?
And do you enjoy it here?
I love it here. It's great. I mean, we've got a beach 5 minutes that way, and we've got a boat 15 minutes the other way, and it's a pretty nice place to live.
At this stage, I'd like to stay here for a long time. I find it a bit hard in the winter when it's wet, but apart from that, it's a pretty good place to live. I love the environment. I like the beaches and all the sailing to do around us, and yeah, I've got no plans of moving.